Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio, the Wacko Network, and Pundit Press Radio. This is conservative talk for those who want to increase their conservative IQ. Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. It is high noon, and we are on with a very special show today. We're expecting Elizabeth Blackney, Media Lizzie from MediaLizzie.com, and Cherylyn, Harley, LeBon to be on the show today, the dynamic duo. It's been a while since either of them have been on the show, and we had a great time the last time where they were both on the show at the same time. I think it was a fantastic way to show what the liberal left is pushing is not exactly our reality, not at all, not our reality at all. There's a completely different reality about what is going on the Republican side of the aisle, on the right side of the aisle, and who the players are, and who the thinkers are, and what the thinkers think. And I think I believe that today will blow the doors off a lot of people who may be new to listening to the show, maybe new listening to a couple of us speak about how we feel about Republicans and the conservative movement and what we have happening in our country right this very moment. I see that our guest from D.C. is on the line and will be. And I appreciate her being here, so we're going to go ahead and talk to her in just a little bit. We want to make sure that you know that this show is brought to you by New Homes of Tampa Bay. New Homes of Tampa Bay. You can reach them on Twitter at New Homes TPA. You know what? If you're looking for a new home construction, brand new construction, and that means a toilet that nobody's used yet, that's what I mean by brand new construction, a refrigerator that no one's put their gross five guys in yet. You want to put your gross five guys in it first, you can get a hold of Gary and Jessica at newhomesoftampabay.com. And you can call them at 813-770-9452. That's 813-770-9452. And if you let them help you, at the end of that process, there will be a $1,000 gift card from either Home Depot, Lowe's, or IKEA. And you know what? We all would love that $1,000 to start our new home. That's for sure. You know what? $1,000 buys a lot of stuff. Not at IKEA. But it buys a lot of stuff at Home Depot and Lowe's for sure, to get you going. You know what? I remember after moving out of an apartment into a single family dwelling, I noticed right away what the thing I didn't have was any lawn equipment. I didn't have a lawnmower or a weed whacker or any of that stuff. Ended up cutting the grass with what we call a wickenbilly, which is really a sickle. For the first time, it was absolutely ridiculous. Why? Because I neglected the thing. I needed a lawnmower. With $1,000, you can get an awfully nice lawnmower. So go to our friends at New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the 2014 elections. We're going to talk about the 2016 elections and what I'm calling in 2015 the campaign season. We talk about the election season, but there's also a campaign season. The campaign season will be to all of 2015. We'll talk about also the things that are happening today, and we're going to play a great game called Word Association with both our guests. So we're looking forward to having them both on. That's Elizabeth Blackney of we call affectionately Media Lizzie. MediaLizzie.com, and Cherylyn Harley LeBon, who is a dynamo of thought and insight, and these ladies are going to blow your doors off. They're going to change your mind. It isn't me that's going to change your mind about anything. If you are interested in learning something today, you're going to have a great opportunity. Listen, with a little break, we'll be right back with the rest of the Wilson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. Just hang on one moment. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio, the Wacko Network, and Pundit Press Radio. This is conservative talk for those who want to increase their conservative IQ.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. 1, 2, snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/bloodpressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought, to be able to debate at a higher level, to be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about. Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio, the Wacko Network, and Pundit Press Radio. This is conservative talk for those who want to increase their conservative IQ. All right, welcome back to the Wilson Show. We are pleased as punch to have the show today, to do the show today. It's going to be very, very exciting, and I am thrilled. And we're going to bring on one of our guests. You know what? And these ladies are very busy, so I'm sure that nobody was around the house just waiting to dial in, just waiting for my phone call. That's for sure. I am absolutely sure of it. But calling from the 202, is I'm guessing my friend Cherylyn, Harley, LeBon, is that you, Cherylyn?
That is Cherylyn.
Cherylyn, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's been way too long since you and I have spoken.
My pleasure.
All sorts of things have happened in the meantime that we need to hear from you about since the last time we spoke, and we're waiting for our friend Elizabeth to show up. I imagine she will in just a little bit. But before she does, I want to get your view on how you've seen the first 6 years of our first African American, and I'm going to use that term because I believe that term is probably more appropriate than black anyway, it's not very pleasant. I'm sorry. Our first African American president, because I know I have new listeners who have never heard us before, and I think that we should have a more rational viewpoint of President Obama's presidency than my own.
Let me think, Willie. Where do I begin? Based on recent events, I think there's just so many things, whether it's a lack of leadership in foreign affairs, a lack of leadership on domestic issues, just a lack of leadership with Congress. Where do we begin? Where should we start?
Well, let's start with I'm always about on home. Let's start about the lack of leadership as far as the economy goes, because there's this fairy tale out there that the economy is going gangbusters right now, but it's just a fairy tale. So let's start with the economy.
Well, that's very apropos at the moment. So I just saw some numbers released by Senate Budget Committee. It must have been within 10 days to 2 weeks. That 29.2 million people are unemployed and not in the workforce. And those are between the ages of 18 to 40, okay? And these are also people that have graduate degrees, that have degrees related in the science and technology field. Let me say that again, go in the fields of science and technology. The so-called employable type folks. 29.2 million people are unemployed and not in the workforce. And these are people who are not able to get a job or have given up looking. So when these numbers come out every Friday afternoon, the administration likes to manipulate them and, we're doing well, manufacturing has increased. The bottom line is people who are at the height of their career, and another way of saying that is people who should be the most employable at this time in their life are not employed. And that has implications, Willie, not only obviously for the current economic times, but for future. Because these are people who are going to have to delay having families, buying homes. These people are going to be essentially the backbone of the economy within the next decade or two, and they're not employed right now.
Well, and I think that you're right. I look at these numbers every Friday myself, and then listen for immediately after the numbers get released the spin about the administration about how good this is. It sort of reminds me of. All this reminds me of Animal Farm and how the pigs convinced the rest of the farm animals that what was happening to them wasn't really happening to them, and what was happening to them was going to be good for them. Until we found out that it really wasn't. It's discouraging, and it seems like more and more people are either anesthetized to whatever the new normal is or have given up. Which do you think it is?
I think it's probably really a combination of both. Because if you think about it, if you're looking for a job for an extended period of time and you simply cannot find one, well, the natural thing is you just stop looking, right? And perhaps your benefits have run out, your unemployment benefit. So the question remains, how are these people living, right? How are they living? No one seems to know, particularly if, their benefits have run out. Perhaps now they are getting some food stamp benefits. Either way, the overall impact and result on our country is very negative.
No doubt. Hang on a second. We've got a friend. I'm going to bring on our friend. From the 541 is the amazing, the super, and the person that you can all blame for this. You can blame her for all of this. Is my friend Elizabeth. Welcome to the group. We've been waiting for you. Did you bring tea?
I brought tea, cookies, ponies, glitter, unicorns, roller skates, Barbies.
Oh,
I'm your girl.
All the good things.
Oh,
All the good things.
I know my audience, and what we need is, unicorns, glitter, and roller skates, obviously. I mean, what else? I mean, isn't that like what I was promised with my Obamacare? You get your higher premium,
right?
But you get free Barbie.
Right.
You get free Barbie and glitter, because you know what? You can't have a party without glitter. You just can't have a party without glitter. And you know what? And with my skin tone, you can use any glitter. You can use the cheap glitter. So it's okay. Well, welcome, Lizzie. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate you being here. Cherylyn and I were talking about how things have gone the first 6 years. And first of all, it's been too long since you and I have spoken too, and it's about time. We should never let this happen again, ever in life. But we were talking about the first 6 years of the Obama presidency, and at this point, how do you think things are going? Bill and I were talking about the economy as a place to start, because there's so many areas that we could start singing the praises of President Obama here. So we decided that we would choose the economy. You can start wherever you want. Where do you think? How do you think it's going so far after 6 years? How do you think it's going so far? How's it working out for us?
Oh gosh, isn't it everything we were promised? I mean, it's just so good. I mean, other than the fact that we have more conflicts, more genocide, higher taxes, higher insurance premiums, and a really inflated sense of his own self, the cult of personality continues, and we don't have any kind of tangible feel-good results. I remember the Greek columns and the sense of wonder. And look, when any president gets elected, whether it's your guy who wins or not, I want my country to succeed. I want it to be happy. I want people to be able to prosper. I want them to, get in office, get the briefings, and decide to do the right things and make the right choices. And unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. I mean, do you want my problems with the 6 years, alphabetically, chronologically, by continent, subgenre? On foreign policy, I think, if we're not safe, we're not free. And my number one crisis with him is his complete inability to lead, not just as commander-in-chief, but okay, fine. We all knew he was anti-war, anti-military dude when he came in. Fine. I'll give him that. You want to be that guy? Great. But he's also anti-diplomat, apparently, because he has all of these stellar people in his cabinet and stellar people in his circles who are known for their ability to cut deals with bad guys and get something done, and they haven't even done that. It's disappointing across the board. And, he is proving that his foreign policy, where foreign policy and domestic policy and healthcare intersect? Ebola.
Wow, that was going to be on our...
Exactly. That was the key right there. It's where it all comes crashing down like a house of cards. It's Ebola, right? A failure of our foreign policy, because why in the world would we want to send our troops overseas to then infect themselves and bring it back to the United States? The proper form for the UN troops is the Ebola crisis. Number two, you've got the head of the CDC who says, well, we had a breakdown. We had essentially a kink in the system. Well, a kink in the system not only
Barack Obama.
Right, a kink in the system not only caused people to die, but now you have this nurse down in Dallas who's infected, and now we don't know who she's come in contact with. So the kink in the system could result in a major public health crisis in the United States. So, Elizabeth just laid it right out. This is where the breakdown occurs. Is Ebola is one example of many things happening on this administration's watch.
What I don't understand.
Where all of it comes together. That's the problem I have for it. someone is like, oh, well, you only care about foreign policy. So, no, okay, so fine. You only care about domestic policy. Are you cool with Ebola? Because I'm not. If you really love and are championing Obamacare and you think that their ideas of how to do health care are going to best service the American people, cool. Here's Ebola. There's not one major constituency of the president who just on the issue of Ebola can say, no, that's my guy. He's done a great job. Because he hasn't. And when you break it down on all of the other issues, and I'm sure, I mean, you know, when you get to economics, you just can't mess with Miss Harley LeBon. So I'm just saying, if you need it broken down, let's talk about jobs in the economy.
My question is, and maybe because I have an aggressively average IQ, and maybe this is why I don't understand. I don't understand sending troops that are trained to do what troops do, kill people and break things. And I think we lose track of what troops are for. That's what troops are for, and that's why we have a military to kill people and break things. Why are we sending troops to Ebola-affected areas? What's the plan there? I mean, can somebody walk me through the mind of the president to let me know why we send troops? I mean, why do you send 4,000 troops instead of maybe 4,000 medical professionals? Why do you send troops instead?
So I can break that down for you two ways. One, going through all of AFRICOM's information and the information from the military and friends of mine who are part of the troops that are on the ground, there are a couple of things. One, they can do, and I'm just going to pretend that I'm okay with this. This is not an endorsement of the policy, just FYI. But if we were going to just, blindly go and follow their logic, it is about helping contain areas where people are leaving to try and contain the situation. That may have worked before we had 4,000 people who were dead. That may have worked, 6 months ago when the first case in Liberia and Sierra Leone was coming. It might have worked then. But to do it now, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And quite frankly, before we ever get to the Ebola crisis, the president pretending that he cares about Africa is the one thing I just cannot get down for. I can suspend my partisanship for a lot of things, but I will never suspend my humanity. The cynicism of this man's policy towards people on the continent of Africa rivals that of the worst colonialists that have ever existed on the planet. He brought in all of these bleeding heart folks who, including Samantha Power, who's the ambassador to the UN, who won a Pulitzer saying people sitting in offices deserve to get thrown out of office if they don't do something in the face of genocide, if they don't do something in the face of war crimes and mass atrocities. And he has let all of that happened on his watch. New genocide in the Nuba Mountains in Blue Nile. New genocide, new mass atrocities, all kinds of drama. And then we get to Ebola. Oh, yeah, we're going to send people because we care. He's sending an optics message. He says he doesn't like theater. This is only theater. He's endangering troops because he doesn't care about their lives. That's why they're there, in my opinion. It's not because he has some high-minded ideal. If he wanted to be the Secretary General of the United Nations, which is what he's acting like, then maybe he should have gone and found a way to get that job. Because his job as the President of the United States, but he's behaving like a Secretary General of the UN. And our troops should never be blue-helmeted, ever, ever, ever. And he's treating them like they are peacekeepers from the UN. He has a fundamental misunderstanding of how the American system of government works and what our roles are. He doesn't care, or he willfully ignores the problem, which is just as bad as anybody else who has ever come before him.
Well, I think you should get off the fence, Liz. I think you should get off the fence and just say what the heck you really believe. But you know what? But is any of this, see, for us who have been in this and been talking about this, I don't know, it seems like all my freaking life. Is this are we any of us surprised? This is the president's worldview that we said he had in 2007. We said that this is this guy's worldview. And then we were all looked at as self-haters and racist and blah 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 blah. And then when we get down to when the blank hits the fan and the rubber meets the road in a situation like this, we just look, and it doesn't do me any good. Doesn't make me feel good to say, yeah, we told you so. That doesn't make me feel good or happy or secure. But it damn sure is the truth. We told y'all back in 2007, this is the kind of guy this is. And it's interesting that you say that he should have applied for the Secretary General job, because that's his worldview to start with. That's what he thought this gig was.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is that voters had a chance in 2012 to really assess that, are you better off, that question that voters often ask themselves, and we hope they're asking themselves, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And apparently a majority felt that the answer to that question for them was yes. Now, at this 2 more years later, 2014, and you look at how the world is melting down and the role that we are not playing or are playing, depending on how you look at it. Let's just give an example. Putin. He is just, frankly, unchecked, right? And he will continue to be unchecked, because it doesn't seem like the president is in any way, shape, or form interested in playing a role and exercising any leadership on that front when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. And as we know, history, from past history, when Hitler started moving in and annexing, sadly, that's exactly what Putin's doing. And sadly, we know how that all turned out for the world when Hitler continued to do those things, again, unchecked, right? Now, back to Ebola. So we're sending people over to fight, 4,000 troops. I'm interested, from my perspective, I'm interested in having our troops take down ISIS. I'm more concerned, they're both major threats. Ebola is a threat, ISIS is a threat. But again, as I said before, this Ebola situation is a perfect scenario for UN troops who don't need to necessarily be shooting people in this scenario, right? Our troops.
Right. Rwanda proved to us that they're not interested in shooting the bad guys. So they might as well go make use of themselves fighting Ebola.
Right? Let's just use a little bit of common sense here.
Yeah, I think we're well beyond the whole common sense thing, because I think with common sense you got to have a common experience. You have to have a common view, and we truly don't have a common view. One of the things, and you brought it up, Cherylyn, I appreciate it, is ISIS. ISIS as a threat. ISIS as a real live threat to our security. ISIS isn't attacking, and I have conversations with people. ISIS aren't attacking military folks. ISIS are attacking and beheading journalists, freelance journalists for the most part.
And aid workers.
And aid workers. This isn't a group of people who are responding to some military invasion, because that hasn't existed, but because according to the president, we're out of that area, and that's his big victory, that we left. And we told them when we were leaving, and we told them what we were leaving for them. And now we are supplying weapons to the people who are supposedly the Syrian rebels, isn't that the same place where ISIS got their genesis? That's the crazy part for me.
Wouldn't it be great if we had a Secretary of State who might have an answer for that?
Well,
exactly right.
I've got an aggressively average IQ, but I can pay attention. I can focus for more than a 15-second soundbite, and it seems to me that ISIS had its genesis from those very same people that we couldn't tell the good guys and the bad guys apart in Syria to start with. So now we're deciding what to flip a coin and saying, yeah, we've got some guns and stuff. Why don't you guys who say that you're the good guys come and get some? And I know that's an oversimplification, but that's how it's being worked out. Ladies, am I wrong, or am I crazy? Am I right and crazy? Because I can be right and crazy.
I to make a point about how right you are, and let me use John Kerry as an illustration. Okay, the American people resoundingly in 2004 rejected John Kerry's ideas and his leadership. And what does Barack Obama do? Give him a consolation prize so he can run foreign policy, which the American people already said, we don't like John Kerry on foreign policy.
Right.
So
the
president, being the good anti-war guy that he is like, let me go find the most foolish anti-war person I can find.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I call John Kerry? Hillary Clinton is a little too reasonable for me.
And he decided, which I might add is quite clever, he decided to find the one Republican, not the one, but a Republican who does not even have the respect of his peers, who we might add had the lowest number in history of, what's the word I want to use, for his confirmation, the highest number of individuals who voted against him. I mean, that is like a record in modern history. Most of the defense secretaries who've been voted on were either unanimous or may have had one or two votes that were not in his favor. Secretary Hagel had one of the highest numbers in modern history of those voting against him. Number two, this is how clever the Obama administration is. They said, well, it will go down in history as the Republican who destroyed the Department of Defense, right? Not the Democrat as part of the Obama administration. He got a Republican to essentially decimate the Department of Defense. That's pretty clever, I might add. That's pretty clever.
Yep, I'm going to go with you on that.
Oh, yeah, very clever, as only this administration can do.
Well, it's pretty. What's impressive is that no matter what's going on in the world, our president always finds an opportunity to play politics and play the political game, especially if it has to do with his legacy in his mind. No matter how cloudy or dangerous it is, he can always see through that to find out how this is going to benefit him and his supposed legacy. And eventually, I think that's an amazing amount of focus. When all hell's breaking loose around you, to say that I'm really only thinking about me and what people are going to think about me in the future. So I think that's impressive in a really sick, sort of scary kind of way.
Right, in a narcissistic way. And he says, well, let me go to Hollywood where Gwyneth Paltrow can make me feel good, right? She'll say nice things and make me feel good, right? That is a president that is not interested in rolling up his sleeves and doing his job, but who likes the idea of being president. That is what we have.
Someone just mentioned to him, it's not a Birkin bag.
Right.
You said a long time ago, and I'll never forget this because I was shocked and I blushed when you said it the first time. Trust me, I did. You just have to believe me. That President Obama is like the guy who's not good in bed, because he hasn't had to be. Everybody has said, everybody keeps saying, you said this. I didn't say this. I
did say that.
You did. And even now when we're getting to these issues that finally are coming to the surface with ISIS and Ebola and the foreign policy experience that we said in 2007, that this guy it wasn't just his lack of experience that was going to be his undoing and our undoing, it was his worldview, are finally floating to the surface, because two things float to the surface, cream and crap, they both float to the surface eventually. So now we're starting to see this, and he is sort of scrambling for that, that pat on the back, that that stroke from his friends that are telling him that everything is going to be all right. And the same, and those same people who are in his circle are doing the very same thing. So the people who support him are echoing the fact that everything is fine. It reminds me of the end of Animal House, where all hell's breaking loose. And the one Razi guy is screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs, "Everything is fine! Everything is fine! Remain calm!" All hell's breaking loose. There's smoke bombs going off. And that's what it kind of seems like to me. And John Belushi has set off bombs and all hell's breaking loose, and that's what it seems like this White House is really more about, and the people who are surrounding this White House. I want to play word association. Can we play word association? I like playing games. I think you'll like this, ladies.
Oh, I'm in.
Ready? All right.
I'm in.
Here we go. We're gonna start easy. We're gonna start with the word Republican.
George W. Bush.
I say November 2014.
2014.
That's all I can bet. That November, you say Republican, I say November 2014.
All right. John Boehner.
Frank Sinatra. What's new, pussycat?
I knew Elizabeth was going to say that. I'm with Elizabeth. I knew she was going to say that.
Frank Sinatra.
I knew she was going to say that.
That makes me laugh so much. That is awesome.
I'm
Hillary
just
Clinton.
saying, anybody who's ever met him, the minute you meet John Boehner, you know in your heart that when he goes into his office and shuts the door behind him, he has got 3 fingers of scotch, a mirror, and a really great 1976 light blue ruffled suit jacket. He puts it on, he looks in the mirror, and he's like, what's new, pussycat?
Whoa.
You got that white bedazzled microphone? Yeah, I love those. Those are great.
That's what's up.
Hillary Clinton.
Better than Rand Paul.
Ouch. Ouch. Grandma? Yes, she is. She is, but she is a grandma.
She is a grandma. She's grandma. Yeah.
She is grandma. And as long as we keep her from drinking and dancing at the same time, she'll be just fine. Speaking of grandma, Benghazi.
Benghazi. Hello,
one of many problems.
Well, you know what?
Unresolved.
You sort of said it earlier. You know what? That when people rejected John Kerry, obviously people rejected Hillary Clinton because she lost to Barack Obama on the Democrat side, so they rejected her. And the consolation prize was to be the head diplomat. I think that's the template, obviously, of this administration, to take the person that you defeat or gets defeated and make them the head diplomat as sort of a consolation prize. I think the very same thing happened with Grandma Clinton. Immigration.
Bush is better.
Our cup runneth over.
And by Bush, I mean Jeb.
Oh, wow.
I'm about to be that girl. Bring it. I haven't had hate mail from my people in a while, so I thought I'd just go ahead and put it on out there.
Well, you'll get some. Because you'll get some, because I said a few months ago, and my and the unsubscribed from my email list started to explode, and I said, you know what, if it came down to it, if it was Jeb Bush, then for me, Jeb Bush, and that's just all there is to it. I won't be McCained again. I just won't be, and that's what I call it. I just won't be McCained again. And I mean, if you sit, and isn't it amazing way is if you sit and you watch this as an adult, and you touch the stove and it's hot the first time, to put your hand back on the stove just to show them is just stupid. Well, we'll show them, and in our excitement to get them, to get the establishment, to get them, we've often gotten ourselves. We got ourselves in 2008. We got ourselves again in 2012, and I'll be damned if I'm going to get myself in 2016. I'm just not going to. I mean, and that's sort of the insanity. And speaking of insanity, I'm going to say these two words because, and I've been a large proponent, but I've also been a large proponent for attenuating the crazy. That's why I laughed when you said Rand Paul, because we have to attenuate the crazy. I understand the passion. I understand, and I appreciate the passion and the hard work, but the crazy is just too loud. It needs to be turned down. And so my phrase is Tea Party, and I even hate using that phrase because that's not an accurate phrase, really.
No, it's not. But it's what we all use, right?
I know.
Not but we use it.
I try to use the phrase independent conservative movement as opposed to Tea Party because I get into arguments with people on the left about it being somebody being in charge. And if you've ever been to a Tea Party rally or spoken at a Tea Party rally, what you find out first is there ain't nobody friggin' in charge. That's what you find out. And you know what? And we haven't gotten $1 from the Koch brothers here in this area to have a decent rally. That's for damn sure. So all those things they think it is, it's not. But I'm curious as to what you guys think it is. And its future, has it matured any? And is it going to be an effective part in 2014 or 2016, or is its days over?
You go, Elizabeth.
Girl, I'm going to let you go first. Look, I have a couple of things that again, I haven't had hate mail from my own people in a while, so come at me, y'all. It's eliz@MediaLizzie.com. Just come at me. I'm done with Rand Paul and pretending that he's rational or he's great. There are a lot of people who can, and I'll say the same thing about him that I said about his father, and not because I think he's exactly like Daddy, but just that this assessment follows. He may be great on prison reform, and anybody who knows me knows that I want prison reform yesterday. I don't like that it is disproportionately African Americans who are incarcerated for long periods of time and lose the ability to get the American dream. That ticks me off in a way that I can't possibly articulate. I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in Atlanta. And when you grow up in the ATL, you know how bad the jails are. You know there's not justice. But Rand Paul is not the only person who can articulate that policy. And quite frankly, if he was concerned about African Americans, he wouldn't be so anti-intervention. Because you know what, African Americans, that shit matters.
Right.
Yep.
And you can't say, well, we only like the ones that are here. No, you don't get to pick and choose which black folks you're friends with.
That's
you don't get to pick and choose which black folks you think their lives are worth saving. So you don't get to choose whose life. He's not God, and he's not my physician, so I'm not interested in his opinions because they're very thin. And so the most important thing for me, whether it's a Tea Party person or an independent conservative or libertarian conservative or a standard grade Republican or whatever, I don't really care what flavor you are. If you vote with an R, and you're a hard R likely voter every Tuesday, the first Tuesday in every November, then we need to get a plan together. And that means everybody has to participate. You cannot let your local committee and your congressional district area committees be populated with people who are crazy.
Right.
You have to go in and fight. We can't just complain. We have to go. Like I live in Virginia Beach. It is as purple as it comes these days, and I'll tell you, the struggle is real. I go to an event for Ed Gillespie, and John McCain is speaking, and I'm on stage because I'm a Gold Star wife, and I support Ed because he's better on every issue I care about than Mark Warner will ever be. And instead, we have we have several people in the back who pretend to support Ed, but we're really there with I Stand with Rand stickers so that they get John McCain, his foreign policy sucks. Well, you know what? I get that. I don't like John McCain either. I was a Bush 2000 girl. I got this. I get it. But you know what? He's better on policy than Barack Obama, and Rand Paul's foreign policy is to the left of Barack Obama. So I'm tired of being called a rhino because I'm a Republican. Rand Paul is not a Republican. He's a Dem.
It's funny. The more things change, the more they say the same. Lizzie, and we had this conversation. We had the same freaking conversation back when we were talking about Rand Paul's dad, who is completely, totally crazy, if you ask me.
Right.
He's a king. He's the king of crazy, as far as I'm concerned. And
he's
someone
your crazy uncle, is what he is. He's your
yeah, but you know
uncle.
what? We stopped inviting the crazy uncle. We stopped inviting the crazy uncle. We just stopped inviting him. And I'll tell you a story. When we were when there was the Tea Party debate in 2012, I guess, here in Tampa, I was walking out of the facility with one of the people who was one of the heads of one of the major Tea Party organizations, who said, "You know what? Dr. Paul is right about 80% of the time and can completely, totally batshit crazy about 20% of the time." And this was one of the the higher ups in the Tea Party movement at the time. And I said, "Well, yeah, and that's the problem. That's the problem. We're going to have to be able to find out what we agree, the things that we agree on, and then play the game and be on the team. Because the alternative is freaking Barack Obama. We said that a long time ago, and we said that the alternative to this is not going to be pretty. It's not going to work out. And this whole, well, we're going to show those Republicans, we're going to give them a lesson. Well, you're giving yourself a lesson that you're stupid, that you don't do what's good for you. Yeah, take the medicine. It may taste bad, but it won't freaking kill you. It's not. Right. It wasn't going to lead to Ebola. And right. this entire presidency from November 2008 has led to this. That's what it's led to. Congratulations. That's why I said months ago, I won't get McCain again. And if the choice is Jeb Bush, that's fine. Jeb Bush likes black people. Crap, I'm cool.
Right. Isn't that something?
I know, because I've seen it up close and personal here in Florida. He loves black people. Black Republicans thrived in Florida during the Bush administration here.
He loves all people, which is great. We should have somebody who loves all people.
Right, exactly. Isn't that, is that too much to ask?
Judeo-Christian? Are we or are we not still a Judeo-Christian country?
Mm-hmm. Not according to our president.
We are called and ordered. It is a part of all of our faith. Black, white, green, yellow, orange, purple, polka dot, whatever. We are called to love everybody by God. So I don't want somebody who wants to break us up into little groups and have everybody fight. That seems really, really stupid. And those kinds of containment policies are about making money. I'm tired of the immigration industry, and I'm tired of the abortion industry. I'm tired of all of them making money off of the suffering of a subset of people in this country.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
You're absolutely correct. And as the hour and as our time draws nigh, Cherylyn, I'd like to ask you how you see 2014 working out through 2015 into the silly season of election season 2016. What has to happen?
Yeah, well, what has to happen is that simply the Republicans need to win, right? We need to win in November. So, we've got about 8 competitive seats and maybe about 3 they would be icing on the cake. So, of course, you've got North Carolina, you've got Colorado, Corey Gardner, which is endorsed by the Denver Post. That's a big deal. And Colorado is what you call a purple state, right? For many years
it's a little rough out there in Colorado, as we know, Cheryl.
It is, as we know. So I think it's a big deal that the Denver Post endorsed Corey Gardner. We've got Joni Ernst, former lieutenant colonel in Iowa, who is continues to lead Bruce Braley. Bruce Braley is her opponent, who is just, for lack of a better term, is a buffoon and has made some serious mishaps and missteps along the way.
And he made such an impression on Michelle Obama, she can't even say his name.
Right, exactly.
Did you see that? She was at an event for him and said Bailey over and over. Like, she doesn't even know his name.
She doesn't know his name. Just what a shame, right? So,
you know you were doing it wrong.
Right, and let's see. So there's Iowa, there's North Carolina, Kansas, which I don't think we will get. Might be a surprise. Elizabeth, what are some of the other battleground states?
Well, I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough in Virginia for Ed Gillespie and Mark Warner. They both say
I don't even consider that a battleground. I don't think Ed is going to bless his heart. I don't think our state is going to be red. I think it's gonna be blue with Warner. There's New Hampshire with Scott Brown and Shaheen. I think Shaheen will probably end up pulling that out. North Carolina is very interesting because Democrats have really enhanced the ground game in North Carolina. And North Carolina was the only state that Romney won. Georgia, I think Purdue is going to end up pulling out, in part because Michelle Nunn, who had the family name, she had some major missteps, as you probably both recall. A video recording was, that was reminiscent of the 47% comment. She had a video recording that surfaced, and it was very damaging to her.
She pretended that she had the endorsement of George H.W. Bush, and that was early on in the race, and that was a huge mistake.
Very huge mistake. So, it's very important, I think, that the Republicans take back the Senate, because then we'll be able to stop Harry Reid's nuclear option. And I think these last 2 years of the administration, being able to stop these judges, being able to stop more appointments to the D.C. Circuit Court, which as many consider, and I do as well, to be the second most important court, second only to the Supreme Court. And the president has been able to get a number of judges on. And, Willie, it's something that people often sort of forget is the power of judicial nominations and confirmations, because although this administration will be leaving in 2 years, the legacy that judges leave behind will be our lifetime, okay? They will last the rest of our lives. They have enormous power over business, over criminal procedure, over free market issues,
and even
enormous power. Yeah.
Election finance.
This is a pretty big deal. I think particularly with the situation in the Senate and the nuclear option, I think it is crucial that the Republicans take back the Senate.
Well, yeah, and it seems like there's a need and there's a chance. But my question always, is there good enough ground game? Is there a good enough is a strategy in place by which to make this happen? It's been my concern probably since 2007 that what Republicans haven't done very well, unfortunately, is to have a strategy in place to make sure that you win. Not just to offer a candidate, but have strategies in place to make sure that you can get into places and talk to people that you need to talk to and get gains in places that you may not win, but get enough gains to win overall. I think that's been a failure, and we've seen it. We saw it with in 2012, even in the House races, where you see a little contraction of some of the House races because of the lack of ground game. And I think that's the part, ladies, that has me the most concerned about the Republicans and winning the Senate. Is there a good enough strategy, and is there a national strategy or strategy even in those districts that are going to be able to get into areas that they need to gain ground in? Here in Florida, one of the House races that I'm involved with and I am just enamored with is Corrine Brown and Glo Smith. Glo Smith is, you know what? I would put Glo Smith on the same
in Florida. Yes.
I would put her in the same category that I put both of you in. And that's how highly I think of Glo. I'd put her in the same category that I'd put both of you ladies in. You guys are way up there on my list. There's only one lady in my life that you guys are second or third to, and I married her. Okay, I'm trying to get some perspective here, and what I've seen from the RPOF is absolutely no help, no strategy, because what she's doing is going to be very, very hard, very tough. It just is.
This is something we've been talking about all day. which is that local ground game and 2016. If you want to know who the nominees are going to be, who the contenders are going to be for nominee in 2016, look at the state and local party structure. Who has got a robust? Tell me how great Marco Rubio is. Good, fine. So where's our POS? What are they doing? What's their strategy? How is their ground game? Do they have a 72-hour task force? Are they doing robocalls? Do they have people walking? What are they doing this November? Because if a nominee or a potential nominee is not doing that work, they will not cross the finish line 2 years from now. Because the minute we get to November 5th, which is the first Wednesday of this November, it will be on like Donkey Kong for 2016. And if somebody's state fails to cross the threshold, they will not be able to make it up because they will have a loss on their record. You have to win. That's how W won and why McCain lost in 2000. It's just the math. Mitt Romney still won because his last race was a win. And so at the local level, we have to make sure that we're not allowing the kind of cancer that Rand Paul and his followers are putting into the party. Their foreign policy has nothing to do with Republicans. And quite frankly, a lot of their economic policy is not helpful to Republicans or small business owners of any party. And so we have to make sure that folks are working at the base level in every city and county committee meeting to make sure that the party is strong so that going forward, whether it's this November or any November, that it is a solid Republican who is in the seat, not someone who is libertarian, but they don't have enough support, so they want to usurp the Republican Party structure. We can't let that happen anymore.
Yep. And that is very true. And I hear from people all the time. I hear from my libertarian contacts here where I live that one of their major goals is taking over the Republican Executive Committee. And I always go, well, once you take it over, what are you going to do? I mean, what's your end game?
That's the whole point. What are you going to do?
Once you take over and you're in charge, what are you going to do? What are you going to do different? What areas are you going to explore that's going to make that's going to make a real difference? And then they look at me like I'm sort of the traitor, and I can't tell you what I tell them because my pastor listens to the show, so I can't tell you exactly what I tell them. But I tell them I'm not concerned with that because Ned Ryan said to me a few years ago. He said, "You know what? That politics is policy. You know what? You have to win elections in order to set policies." And if you don't win, it doesn't. If you don't win, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's just an academic argument. If you don't win, the idea is that you have to win, and you have to set yourself up to win. So, and unless you're doing that, you're just getting everybody else's way and have a seat. Well, it's almost time for me to go, ladies. I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of your time today. It is the best thing that's happened in the past hour for sure. And I think it's the best thing that happened on Blog Talk Radio all year, frankly. Nobody has brought the power and the strength and the truth like you two always bring, and I appreciate both greatly. Thank you again for joining me, and I promise I won't wait so long to ask again. I will not wait so long to ask again.
Well, it was our pleasure, and maybe, Elizabeth, if Willie has time, we can plan to go on the day after Election Day and do a rundown.
Heck yeah.
We should.
That might be good. I'm in. That'd be so fun. That'd be so fun. I'll just put it in my calendar now.
It is hereby scheduled. Let it be said, let it be written, let it be done. How about that?
Yeah, November 5th, 12 noon, or whatever time works for you guys. I don't know, morning, noon. We can do a rundown here. That'd be great.
We will do that. It is scheduled. Again, thank you a lot, ladies. I appreciate both of you. God bless, and we'll talk to you both very soon.
Thank you, Willie. Take care. Elizabeth, I'll call you shortly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, guys. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. My guests today were Harley Lynn LeBon and Elizabeth Blackney. You can tweet Harley and LeBon at Harley LeBon on Twitter. You can get a hold of Elizabeth Blackney at Media Lizzie. And we appreciate both of them for coming on today. We will see you both very soon. Listen, y'all take care. Have a fantastic day. Just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio, the Wacko Network, and Pundit Press Radio. This is conservative talk for those who want to increase their conservative IQ.